Now, I get to introduce a woman who has become a very, very dear friend, which I got to say, if there was some side benefits to this whole, hey, let's meet people virtually, then it has been the amount of friendship and the circle that we have been able to build around us, right? So look at, I know a lot of you know her as well because she is not afraid and she does her 1, 2, 3, and she gets herself behind the scene and on the stage and all those good things, right? And so I am talking about the Miss Carmel Ecker. And when I tell you what she's an expert in, then you'll know, because she's a hell yes expert. So that's good. Let's pick it up for someone. So what do you do for a living? I'm a hell yes expert. That's a lean in. I call that, like, that's cool, right? She's going to rock your day by telling you how to have an amazing life, how to have an amazing life. Okay. So I don't know, hell yes expert, amazing life. It kind of makes you feel and think like you want to go hula hooping. Any of you ever go hula hooping? Did you ever do a hula hoop? So this girl was so excited. She was in a hula hoop contest and she was so excited. She was so into it. You know, when you're so into it, you're just so into it. She's got her eyes closed and she's hula hooping, and they finally had to come over and tap on her shoulder. And they're like, no one else is hula hooping anymore. You won. That's something about Carmel you probably don't know. So look, Carmel is going to be giving away, I mean, look at these prizes, right? Spot on TV, audits, all that good stuff. A $1,300 6-week mental fitness program. You're going to have to tell us about that after you tell us how we're going to have an amazing life. So how's it going, girlfriend?
Yeah, so good. So good. And I want to, before I start, I just want to encourage everybody to get up and stretch your legs because I know I've been sitting for a while. So just like get a little bit of a movement going on. Just, you can do like a silly walk a la, a la Monty Python. Thank you, Angel. I was like, someone will take me up on that. Because it is wherever you are, it's 2:30 in the afternoon here, and that is typically a time when we kind of like start to droop just a little bit. So just wanted to get a little movement and help people just kind of wake up and tackle. Yes, John Cleese, Dorothea. So awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna get started, and I'm gonna start with a song, because why not? So, when we were kids in the backyard, playing astronauts and rock stars, no one told us to stop it, called us unrealistic. Then suddenly you're 18, go to college for your plan B. What you want is too risky. Live for weekends and whiskey, and we all got these big ideas. One day they're replaced with fears. How did we get here? Darling, don't quit your daydream. It's your life that you're making. It ain't big enough if it doesn't scare the hell out of you. If it makes you nervous, it's probably worth it. Why save it for sleep when you could be living your daydream? So that is part of a song called Daydream by Lee Mayola, and I love the song. And it's not just for the message, but actually for the story that she told when she sang it on America's Got Talent. And I'll summarize the story just in case you didn't see it. When she wrote this song, she had a deal with a record label. Her dream of becoming a published, recorded musician had come true. And then her mom got cancer. And she hit the pause button to take care of her, which I know I would do too. But that journey took a while, and the record deal fizzled out. And it probably would have been so easy for Lily to tell herself that she had missed her chance. And instead, she later got herself an audition on America's Got Talent. And she blew the judges away with her story, with her song, and with her voice. She created her own second chance at living her dream. She didn't give up. She didn't let any negative, it's too late for me stories take her out. Her story and her song brought so many people to tears and earned her a golden buzzer, sending her straight to Vegas. And it's a wonderful story, right? The kind we love to watch and read about. We love to be inspired by dreams really do come true stories, don't we? But here's the thing. We often stop at inspiration. We think, oh, wow, it would be so amazing if. But then we don't do the work and we don't take the risks required to fully realize our own dreams. And that was my story for most of my life. I would be so inspired by people who chose to live their passion, who were so committed to something that they did, whatever it took to have that thing be a central part of their lives, whether it was their work or, their weekend project or whatever. But I wasn't living that story. I followed the well-worn path of get good grades, go to university, land a safe job, find a partner, buy a house, have a kiddo. And not surprisingly, I suppose, it all fell apart because I wasn't living my life. I was following someone else's recipe for life. And I know that I'm not alone. So why do we do this? What is it that stops us from walking our own path, and how can we change this? And to answer those questions, today I'm going to talk about 3 elements that I've used in my life to get where I am, and that I use with my coaching clients to help them get where they want to go. So those elements are clarity, courage, and commitment. So we'll talk about the clarity first. You might expect me to say that you have to know with absolute clarity what you want for yourself and your future. But that's not actually entirely true, and it's only half the story. So if you're one of those people who really struggles with long-term planning, I got you. It's okay. I do too. Now, I don't advocate for floating along in life. I did that for many years. Didn't work. And I do think that it's important to get a good sense of where you want your life to go. But clarity isn't just knowing what you want. It's also knowing who you are and what motivates you. And that's why I have all of my clients identify their top 5 core values before we do any other work. Your core values are simply what's most important to you. And knowing them gives you a really powerful guide as you move through your life. I actually did a values workshop for a group of teen girls a couple years ago, and recently one of those young women was in another workshop that I did. And she emailed me afterward to thank me and say that the values workshop profoundly impacted the decisions that she made as she left high school. And I think you can probably understand that made me a little bit teary. I had to breathe a little bit as I was sitting at my desk. And the reason that it moved me so much was 2 reasons. One, it means so much to me to know that I'm making a positive impact in other people's lives. And I know that I don't always get to know what that impact is. So to have someone actually verbalize it to me was amazing. And then number 2, it's because I could really have used that workshop when I was a teenager. That's why I did the workshop in the first place. It was like, oh my God, I didn't discover this until I was in my late 30s and hired my first coach. And while I would advocate for identifying your values at any time in your life, it's always worthwhile. Man, it would make a big difference if someone at that stage of life, in the teenage stage of life, gets to learn that. So I spent a lot of years reaching for things that I thought I should have versus what I actually wanted. I didn't step into who I was. I was so preoccupied with doing the right things that would make me successful, by society's standards. And it just wasn't aligned with who I was. So I failed quite spectacularly. So knowing your top 5 core values is like having a compass that shows you the way forward. And I often see this sometimes in Facebook community groups and other places. I see people asking complete strangers what they should do about various situations ranging from the benign to the critical, like really serious stuff. And I wonder, oh man, if these people tapped into their values, would they feel the need to ask for that advice? Or would they be able to tuck into that well of wisdom inside themselves and choose the right action for them? Because as much as someone may have great advice, that might be great advice for them. It's not necessarily great advice for you. So being able to tap into our own values, to our own inner wisdom, is just something so powerful that why wouldn't you chase it? We need to develop that trust within ourselves. And it's tough to do if you don't really know yourself. So values can help you figure out what you want if you're struggling to picture the dream that you want to go after. And that's what they did for me. I've never been, like I said, I was never a super goal-oriented person. Exercises that ask you to share your like 10 and 5-year goals put me in a state of complete paralysis. Anybody else? Not really a huge fan? Yeah, a few nods. Okay. Maybe there are lots of long-term planners in here. But here's what I know. I want to be helpful. I want to be happy. And I want to be healthy. I want to feel well. I want to grow as a person year after year. And I want to leave a small environmental footprint and a big positive influence. And how I've identified those kind of formally as values are personal growth, wellness, sustainability, being of service, and kindness. And that is what guides all my decisions. So I'd love for you to ask yourself, what's important to you? What's your North Star? You know, as the saying goes, if you don't know what you stand for, you'll fall for anything. Do you know what you stand for? Do you know what's important to you? And if you've never identified your values and you're interested in that, you can actually just email me at Carmel at Your One Amazing Life, and I have a values exercise that I'm super happy to send through to you. It's awesome if I do say so myself. So the next thing, I actually have other points, but I know I'm going to run out of time, so I'm going to move on to courage. There's just so much I can share, and I always run out of words. But courage, and this has actually come up a lot today, and I'm so glad, because I think as women specifically, we need to start stepping into our courage, stepping into our bravery. You know, Michelle Dewsbury's story of domestic abuse, getting out of that situation and starting a nonprofit. Christine Blanchett's story of turning job loss into a new career and launching 2 TV shows. You know, these are things that they stretch us. They make us grow. One of my favorite inspirational speeches out there is Jim Carrey's commencement address to the graduating class of Maharishi International University in 2014. And it's this line that resonated the most with me. You can fail at what you don't want, so you might as well take a chance on doing what you love. And that line gives me chills absolutely every single time I hear it. And I've heard it a few times. It's how I jazz myself up. But it's a lesson that he learned from his father, right? His dad didn't believe that he could make it as a comedian, so he settled for a safe job as an accountant, only to be let go when Jim was 12. What an amazing, you know, it's an unfortunate choice to make perhaps, but what amazing inspiration Jim took from that and created the career of his dreams. So we can say that choosing to forego our dreams is about practicality, right? We've got bills to pay, we've got a family to support. And depending on your dream, maybe the odds of success are extremely small. You know, if we go back to Lily, the odds of making it in the music industry are not great. But she wasn't going to accept no for an answer. What it is really, it's not practicality. It's not any of that stuff. It's fear and self-doubt that keep us from our dreams. I think we're afraid to go after them because we don't want to deal with the fallout if we fail. And I'm not necessarily talking about financial fallout. That can happen, but you know, most of our dreams aren't about like making big dramatic life changes like quitting our job and joining the circus, right? It's about the fissure that it will cause in your identity. What will it mean about you if you try and you fail at something that's meaningful to you? That can be a pretty big ego hit. But what if you try and you succeed? Or what if you try and you learn something? What if you try and you realize, oh, actually, I want to go in this direction? But we let the little gremlins in our heads tell us things like, it's not worth it. Who do you think you are? You don't know enough. You're not talented enough. You don't have the ambition or the tenacity to see this through. You'd better play it safe. Stick with the sure bet. But fulfillment is never found when we listen to those negative voices. Some of the proudest moments in my life are a result of the times I ignored the gremlins and said yes without knowing if I would fall on my face or stick the landing. And today is actually a great example of that. My nerves have calmed down now, but I'm telling you, in the 5 to 10 minutes before I was gonna come on here, my heart was like beating out of my chest. The same way that it was when I said yes to Deb when she asked if I would speak. Because I have no idea if anything I am saying is resonating with any of you. I hope it does. And I've gotten a few head nods, you know, that's awesome. But at the end of the day, doing something like this, you don't know. You don't know what's going to happen, but you do know what's going to happen if you say no. Odds are good that you're going to regret it. And nothing happens. Nothing changes. You're exactly where you were before. So not long after I launched my first business, I realized that I couldn't sustain a full-time job and grow the business. So I went to have what I expected to be a very challenging conversation with my then boss. And my goal was to drop down to part-time work, and I laid out the case for her. And the answer was a firm no. And thankfully, I was ready for it, and heart pounding somewhat like it is today. I told her that if I couldn't go part-time, I would need to quit. I wasn't making enough money in my business to replace my income, but I laid down the ultimatum anyway. And the answer was still no. So I wrote my resignation letter and I handed it in the next day. And I was absolutely terrified. And I was excited at the same time, right? As a single parent, I didn't have a second income to lean on. And I couldn't know how successful this business was going to be. I mean, I was hoping, I was willing to work hard, but I couldn't know. But I did know that I had to let go of the safety of my job if I was going to truly create the life that I wanted for myself. I was tired of rushing myself and my son out the door in the mornings. I was tired of doing the same work I'd been doing for nearly 15 years. I wanted to see what I was truly capable of. And though it was scary, that first day when I walked my son to daycare, after calmly letting him put on his shoes and coat, instead of rushing him to get ready. Anyone here have small children? Or have had small children, experience with small children? Yeah. What's it like trying to get them out the door in the morning? How long does it take them to put on one shoe? It's ridiculous, right? So to be able to give him that time, yeah, Jamie, you don't miss those days. To be able to give him that time and myself that time and not rush out the door. Mary, you're gonna choose. Yeah. Not have to rush out the door. Oh my goodness. I can't even tell you the sense of freedom that was. That moment alone was worth the risk. Okay. I know I'm running out of time. I wrote too much. I put way too much stuff in here.
Okay, so you know what? Let me support you in that. In your you're coming to the end. You've got something to say, and then just make sure you get across just your most important message.
Yes, yes.
All right.
So the last thing I have to talk about is commitment. Um, and that's kind of what this all leads into. And I like to think of commitment as doing the things your future self will thank you for. And these are the choices that we make and the actions that we take that either move us closer to our own happiness and fulfillment, or it moves us further away from it. And my challenge to you today is to pick something to commit to. Pick something. It can be a small action, it can be a big action. It doesn't really matter. The point is that you are in action. Pick one thing that you're going to do, whether it's today or this week. Give yourself a deadline and say, I'm going to do that. And know why you're doing it. Right? When I quit my job, it was because I wanted more time freedom. I wanted a different experience of life. I wanted to be able to enjoy my son. What is your why? What is your reason for making that commitment?
Ta-da!
And I'm going to relinquish.
And hopefully the jibblies in your tummy have calmed down, and you're like, you
They've
can
totally
breathe.
calmed down.
You can
They've
breathe.
totally calmed down.
Thank you so much. That was so amazing. That was so amazing. Oh my gosh. Angel. Oh,
I was just posting the link to this on Facebook, like to invite people, like it's not too late. We still have a few more hours and I wanted them to be able to come here, Carmel. So that was, yeah, I know there's so much, right? There's so much we want to share and so much we want to give, but we all felt you, right? We all felt you, like the thing we're afraid of, the thing that scares us the most, like the possibility and the dream is just on the other side of that. And being brave enough to give that ultimatum and step away and walk away. And I think we've heard it from a couple people today, just, is it going to work out? Right? It's just me. It's just my income. It's like, now what do I do? This is all I know. But if you're like hearing this theme of these women today, the biggest breakthrough, the boldest thing, the thing they've been able to serve and give back was on the other side of them saying yes, like walking away from something that wasn't serving them, but it's familiar, right? Or it was dangerous, or, in a bad relationship, but not serving them. And, even though I think it was Jamie saying, I don't miss those days, but don't we kind of a little bit, right? Like just a little bit, like when they were so sweet and they were so young and so moldable and precious, and it took them forever to put their shoe on. Like, I don't miss the impatience, but we do just a little bit. And you savored that time. And I just think I'm so glad that you did. And there's somebody here, I'm sure many of us can relate, but more importantly, there's somebody here who's got a decision to make. Who's hearing your story, Carmel.
Yeah.
And they're going to make that decision because of something you said that inspired them today. And I just think that's like the biggest self-care thing we could do, right? Is say yes to ourselves.
Absolutely. Yeah. We let go of the negative stories that are holding us back, and we just decide we're going to take one action. And this is the thing that I love about small steps, small actions, is that when we want to do something really big, the voices in our head decide they are going to go crazy, right? They say all the worst case scenarios. But when we take small steps, oh, well, whatever. It's not such a big deal. The little, some people call it the itty bitty shitty committee. I sometimes call it the risk management department, right? It doesn't get triggered as much. And we take those consistent small steps. As Teresa said, like constantly challenge your fear and you can get where you want to go.
Yeah. I had put in small steps move big mountains, but I had to correct it. We climb big mountains by taking those small steps. I know many marathon runners have told me, and I'm not a marathon runner for those of you who are, we love the marathon theme from today, but it's just take the next step. Just take the next step, right? Like just that. And
just keep swimming.
Yes,
just keep
exactly.
swimming.
The Dora theme. We're all gonna be thinking about Dora and Nemo after. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we've got a prize to give away. Okay, so just quickly here, what is a 6-week mental fitness program? Are we gonna like be going on those bikes in the back there? Like, what are we doing?
Well, you know what? After you get through the mental fitness program, you might be inspired to start mountain biking.
You're speaking on that next time. Let's go. What's a 6-week mental fitness?
So the 6-week mental fitness program is a course designed to help you identify those gremlins in your head, identify those negative stories, and implement a practice to unhook from them, to stop them from holding you back. And the reason there's a lot of neuroscience in there, positive psychology, performance science, all of that. This program actually took 10 years to develop. It's not my program, but I offer it. So, but a man named Shirzad Shamin, who is like super smarty pants, and he spent 10 years researching and developing this program based on a number of different, like I said, performance science, neuroscience, positive psychology, and cognitive behavioral science. And at the end of the day, you get to learn how to make your brain work for you instead of against you. So you learn how to go, oh, negativity hit. That's a signal. That's some data. But you don't sit there and stew and form a long-term relationship with that negative emotion, right? You able to move past it. So that's what the program is designed to do, is to help you more easily move past those so you can go and shoot for the stars.
All right, so someone's going to shoot for the stars. Carmel has her free gift it's in the chat. You can chat with her and she can give you the free gift, but this one special person. So a little early on when Carmel was speaking, and she said that there was 3 things that were really super important to her for her life, right? This is all about having an amazing life. And she's really kind of big on the H. So it starts with H. One was helpful, one was happy, and one is another word that starts with H that if you ride that bike behind her, you would feel. So put that in the chat with your email. First person to do that wins that $1,300 program. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Carmel, for speaking. Let's give her a little bit of love. Da, 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 da. Thank you.